Hi, hi, I am Andy, and in this video we're going to talk about order of operations. It's been a long time since we met on this platform, and this topic has become necessary for me to explain to my students. And in this video I'll try as much as possible to break it down for each one of you who is watching me on this platform to understand what an order of operation is and how to deal with simple mathematical expressions. Okay, very good. I hope I will do much videos as and when it becomes necessary for me to do it. Okay, now let's get started. What do you understand by order of operations? When we talk about order of operations, it simply means, or it just tells us a rule that tells us the correct sequence of steps for evaluating a mathematical expressions. Let me tell you again. When we talk about an order of operations, we are talking about a rule that tells us the correct sequence of steps for evaluating a mathematical expressions. Okay, just a simple way of telling you that when you have a mathematical expression, follow these steps and deal with it. That is all that an order of operation is all about. Okay, very good. And in this video there are two school of thought. We have the PEMDAS and then the BODMAS. You know what a PEMDAS is? Is also an order of operation, and it deals with it says when you have a mathematical expressions, first of all, if it has parentheses, you deal with the parentheses first, and then you move on to the another operation, which is exponents or powers or whatever. You deal with those things before you move on to the multiplication. That is the only difference between BODMAS and PEMDAS. In BODMAS, normally after the bracket and then the exponent, we start with division, but in PEMDAS, after the parenthesis and then the exponent, we begin with multiplication. So in this video, we're going to concentrate on BODMAS. For only today, we're going to concentrate on BODMAS. I will explain to you as much as possible so that you can understand. Okay, so now let's look at BODMAS. When we talk about BODMAS, what are we talking about? BODMAS, okay, so we'll take every letter by letter. So the first B that you see in BODMAS simply means brackets. So when you have a mathematical expression that has a bracket, it says, according to BODMAS, it says deal with the bracket first. Okay, you deal with the bracket first. So for example, I have one here. If you have 10 times bracket open 4 plus 2 bracket close, BODMAS is telling you that deal with what is in the bracket first. Okay, so let's solve it together. So 4 plus 2 first, that will give you 6, and then when you finish, we already have our 10 behind the bracket. So 10 times 6, and that will give you what? 60. So if you have any mathematical expression that involves brackets, BODMAS is telling you that deal with what is in the bracket first before you move on to the other operations. Now let's move on to the O. The O in the BODMAS simply means order or of, and some people even call it the exponent, the power of. Yes, so BODMAS is telling you that if you have any mathematical expression and after dealing with the bracket and there's an exponent, deal with the exponent as the second order. So you deal with the second order, that is O, the exponent, order, of, and what have you. So let's have an example here. So let's say I have here 5 plus 2 exponent 2, or 5 plus 2 raised to the power 2. Let's deal with it. BODMAS is telling you that this one we don't have a bracket, so the next step is we move on to the order of, or the power, or the exponent, or what have you. So let's move on to the exponents first. So we know 2 raised to the power. In our previous lesson we have already learned about exponent, power, and so we know 2 raised to the power 2, or 2 exponent 2 is 4. So we are done with that. We already have our 5 there. So 5 plus 4, and that will give you what? 9. So that is for the O in BODMAS. Let's move on to the next one. In BODMAS, after the power of and then the rest, we deal with division. So let's deal with division. It says if you have any expression after dealing with the brackets, the exponent, and what have you, the next one you have to deal with is the division. That is the next operation that you have to deal with. So let's deal with one division expression here. So we have 10 plus 6 divide 2, or 10 plus 6 divided by 2. Okay, so let's, first of all, it says this one we are dealing with the division first. Okay, so let's deal with the division. So 6 divide 2, or 6 divided by 2, and that will give you what? 3. So 10 plus 3, and that will give us 13. So follow the order like this and you are good to go. Let's move on to the next one, which is the M. The M, we have the M here, which is the multiplication. So after dealing with the brackets, you deal with the exponent or the power of and the blah blah blah, the rest. You move on to division. If after the division you have a multiplication, you deal with the multiplication. So let's have one example of a multiplication problem here. So we have 10 minus 4 times 2. 10 minus 4 times 2. Now let's do, it says we are dealing with the multiplication first here. Okay, so 2 times 4 is what? That is 8. So we already have our 10 here. So 10 minus 8, and that will give us 2. Now let's move on. BODMAS is telling us after the multiplication we move on to the next one, which is addition. Let's move on to addition. In addition, we have one example here, which is 10 times 4 plus 7. 10 times 4 plus 7. Okay, so now let's deal with it. Because we have, look at the order, this particular expression, look at the order. We have 10 times 4 plus 7. We have multiplication, so we have to deal with the multiplication first before we move on to the addition. So now let's do it. 10 times 4, and that will give us 40. So 40 plus 7, and that is 47. So that is how the order is supposed to be according to BODMAS. Don't do 4 plus this one, 4 plus 7, and then you come and before you come and multiply the other one. Okay, very good. Now the last one that we have to deal with according to BODMAS is subtraction. Okay, subtraction. That is the last one. If you have any mathematical equation that you have to deal with and it involves a subtraction, that should be your least worry or your least headache. Subtraction should be the last one. So let's deal with one subtraction. Probably we have 10 divided by 2, or 10 divided 2 minus 3. So we know 10 divided 2 is what? 5. Okay, so we left with our minus 3 there. So 5 minus 3, and that will give us 2. So that is all for the subtraction. So this is BODMAS, brackets of division, multiplication, addition, and then subtraction. Okay, that is an order of operation. Now before we end, I'm going to give you one question that you have to try your hands on whilst at home. So have one here. 10 times brackets open 6 squared, or 6 exponent 2, or 6 raised to the power 2 divided by 3, bracket close, plus 4 minus 2. So you deal with it using BODMAS. Follow the order, okay? Follow the order of the operations, and you know what an order of operation is. Before we end, this is order of operation. An order of operation tells us the correct sequence of steps for evaluating a mathematical expression in any given time. Okay, so that is all for BODMAS. I hope you've really enjoyed the lesson. Thank you very much, and subscribe to the channel. My name is Andy, and until I come your way with another set of solutions, thank you very much, and keep the hope alive. We know what is going on around the world, but hey man, life must go on. Thank you very much, and see you on the other side. Bye bye.